Arpit. And during the midterm exam, some of you have attempted the quiz several times, 2 times or 3 times. So this should not be the practice from next time onwards. Okay, class, we have discussed, we were discussing the behavior yesterday corresponding to the graph we were having. So it can be shown this way also. This is a typical stress strain curve. Corresponding to this only, we were discussing yesterday. The limit of the elastic behavior is often closely associated with the yield stress Fy, and the corresponding yield strain, as we know, E is equal to stress upon strain. So we have taken stress in the numerator because in structural steel the yield stress is have got quite a relevance. Beyond this limit, steel flows plastically because as in brittle materials, we have got basically two zones. One is the elastic zone, and there is a yield limit, that is yield point, and then we have got a part which leads us to the ultimate value, and there is a sudden collapse after that. But in structural steel, we have got an elastic zone, as we have seen yesterday. We have gotten this elastic zone is there till Fy. You can see if I zoom it beyond it, this is Fy, and beyond Fy you can see there is more portion here. This much. This is beyond the yielding point of that particular structural steel material. So even beyond the yielding, it continues to take the load at a higher level straight. So the increase in stress has not diminished with the yielding. That is possible in structural steel only. With in the brittle materials, it is not going to be straight. It used to be something like that. I will delete this particular part. It is going to be something a reduced strain of rate. This is a typical behavior in brittle materials. So at this point, this is ultimate stress point, that is ultimate strength point for any other material. And beyond ultimate strength point, we have got a downward line, and somewhere here it is going to give us the fracture point or fracture limit of that material, where then you can say, if I'm going to redraw it, it is not going to take the load beyond it. It is going to be something like this, then this, and then it is going to be stable. So this is going to be the fracture point, where the descending branch beyond fracture point or fracture limit is going to come straight downwards. It is not going to take any load, and stress is eventually going to become zero. So this, the steel flows plastically. beyond a certain yield stress limit without any increase in stress until the strain hardening strain ESH is reached. So there is a zone of strain hardening, as you can see onto the graph. Here you can see this is the strain hardening, and even the strain hardening zone is also, when it is finally reached here, then the stress Fu is reached. So this is the ultimate strain when the strain hardening region has ceased. When the strain hardening is exceeded until the ultimate tensile Fu is reached. As indicated earlier, at this stage, large local reductions in the cross section occur. Because Fu, as I have told you yesterday, that Fu is the ultimate tensile strength just before the necking has started, and the necking of the specimen has reached to a limit where it is just about to fracture. The yield strain for the mild steel is of the order of 0.125%. Depending on the steel used, strain hardening limits varies between 5 times strain to 15 times of strain, that is yield strain. So it varies from 5 times the yield strain which you get on this axis. जो आपका यहाँ पे EY है, this is your EY. Let us say on this graph, if I go straight away like this, यहाँ से इलास्टिक जोन स्टार्ट हो रहा है, तो इलास्टिक जोन यहाँ से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, it is 0.002 strain level. So when you multiply it with 5, whatever value you get, that is 0.01. So it is, you can say it is, or 0.015. If you multiply it, that is going to be the strain hardening zone. The average value of 10 times is taken as yield plateau of structural steel. This is a yield plateau. So if I draw a straight line from here, you can see it is a straight line from here to here. This is the yield plateau where it is varying from strain level at the elastic limit to 10 times. So if you are multiplying 0.002 into 10, it is going to give us the value. Here you can see this is the yield plateau. Initial slope of the strain hardening part of the curve is termed the strain hardening modulus. This is again one of the modulus. If you can understand this stress strain curve, as I told you other day when we were having a discussion, that if you have understood the subject strength of material, that means you have become 60 to 65% civil engineer. Now, if you can understand the stress strain curve, you can add another 15%. So understanding, because civil engineering is nothing but अंडरस्टैंडिंग द मटेरियल बिहेवियर, स्ट्रक्चरल स्टील साइट पर कैसे बिहेव करेगा, कास्टिंग यार्ड में या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग रोलिंग मिल में उसका बिहेवियर कैसा है, इट इज नॉट ऑफ दैट इंपॉर्टेंस टू अ सिविल इंजीनियर। मटेरियल्स इंजीनियर जो है उसके लिए रेलेवेंट हो सकता है, but to a civil engineer how the actually the material is behaving on the site has got a relevance. Now this stress strain curve, although it is into the testing lab, although this particular I should say behavior is out of the lab, but this is going to give you a very close idea and approximation of how your structural steel is going to behave onto the site in the form of a steel girder or in the form of a reinforcement into the beam or a column. So that is why we were discussing that these all parameters, that where will be the yield point, what will be the proportional limit, how we will calculate the elastic modulus, how much the stress strain curve is going to take the stress from yield point to the yields ultimate yield stress level, all these parameters. That is why, as you can see here, it is strain hardening modulus. So you have seen elastic modulus up till now. We have got elastic modulus, we have got shear modulus, we have got bulk modulus, we have got tangent modulus, chord modulus, secant modulus, and one of the kind is strain hardening modulus. तो अगर हम डिजाइन को सीरियसली ले रहे हैं, कोई बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है, हमें पता है किस तरह का लोड आने वाला है, सपोज अर्थक्वेक, इट इज इन लेट्स से close to Kashmir and Pakistan border, the seismic belt is very much critical. So we are supposed to have a project of purely structural steel, and we know the strain hardening zone is going to be very much critical. That means we are 100% sure that it is the structural steel project is going to cross the yield limit, and the behavior between the yield point and the ultimate strength point is very much important for us. So that is why we will always be calculating strain hardening modulus. It is much steep than elastic part. Yielding is sometimes accompanied by an abrupt decrease in load. Now let us come straight away to a little next article. The strain rates used in tests to determine the yield stress of a particular steel type are significantly higher than the nearly static rates often encountered in actual structures. Significantly higher. That means, what does this mean? That means whatever value we are getting into the lab is quite higher as compared to the behavior at the site. Nearly static rates often encountered in actual structures. The increase in tensile and yield strength at higher strain rates is shown in figure 1.12. The lower yield stress at zero strain rates is called the static yield level. 10 to 15% lower than the yield stress reported in the rolling mill. So when the structural steel is manufactured into a rolling steel mill and it is tested there itself after cooling down, or it has reached to a laboratory for the testing of the specimen, the stress evaluated at that point is going to be 10 to 15% higher as compared to the behavior at the site. when the load is applied onto the structure, such as bridge deck, having traffic onto it is going to be having 10 to 15% less stress as compared to what it has been documented into the stress strain curve from the laboratory. However, since the values obtained from the majority of these mill tests are not more than 10% or higher, the net effect when averaged over a complete design may not be significant. So what happens, as actually the value is very less, 10% after many samples, hundreds of samples being tested, so you can straight away take those values only for the design purposes. At strain rates, characteristic of seismic response, this is very important. 0.01 to 0.1 per second, it still exhibits a significant increase in yield strength, 10 to 20% above static test values. Now here you can see the stresses are increasing in seismic response. However, under cyclic straining, the effective strain rate decreases, minimizing this effect. So under the seismic response, the response of the structural steel under earthquake is quite different because the cyclic response comes into picture. Now, whereas when we are calculating ultimate yield strength, it is coming higher, 10 to 15% higher as compared to the static test. Whereas when we are calculating the strain rate and cyclic response, it is coming out down. So that is why the behavior is very much unrealistic as compared to the laboratory tests. In order to use plastic design, because why we are using plastic design in earthquake, we don't know how much intensity earthquake is going to hit, as it happened in World Trade Center, that the structural members were able to resist the load, whereas the fire induced due to earthquake has been responsible for the collapse of the World Trade Center, which is a major significant conclusion out of many of the reports. So earthquake can go to any extent. So in that case, we cannot leave our design to the yield point limit or yield strength limit. We have to go for ultimate tensile strength design limit. So which is, you can say it is a plastic design. So these are the points which are required to be considered. The yield plateau should extend for at least 6 times the strain at first yield. These are the requirements for the design in earthquake prone regions corresponding to structural steel. So the yield plateau which we have seen, this is the yield plateau. It should extend for at least 6 times the strain at the first yield point. So let us say if it is 0.002, although it is 0.002 is parallel to this point, we have not evaluated this straight line point, but just taking an example, if it is 0.002, so multiplied by 6 should be the reason being that it should not be immediate collapse behavior. It should not be that immediately we have got much deflection. So the structure should go slowly into the plastic zone, and it should remain into the plastic zone for a longer time before it achieves the ultimate strength limit state. Second point is ultimate or yield stress ratio must be greater than 1.25, जो अल्टीमेट स्ट्रेंथ लिमिट है आपकी और जो यील्ड स्ट्रेंथ है Fy और Fu, that is Fu upon Fy is equal to greater than 1.25. To develop an elastic rotation capacity, a structural member needs adequate length of yield region along the axis of the member. So if this is a yield region, this yield region should be not steep, it should be more constant, and 1.25 should be the value of Fu upon Fy. The larger the ultimate to yield ratio, the longer is the yield region. जैसे जैसे रेशियो आपका बढ़ता जाएगा, that is Fy values increasing and Fy is going to reduce, तो क्या होगा, वो एकदम स्टीप ना होके आपका जो कर्व है वो ग्रेजुअल हो जाएगा. If I go back and I will try to tell you this thing, अगर हमारा Fy ऊपर जाता है यहाँ से और Fu ऊपर जाता है और Fy नीचे आता है, तो जो ट्रांजिशन है वो ग्रेजुअल हो जाएगा. That means your structure will behave into the plastic zone gradually, slowly until it reaches the ultimate tensile strength. The third point is the minimum elongation must be 15% of the gauge length of 5.65 under root A0, which is the A0 is the area of the specimen before the testing of the specimen. जो starting time पे area था, that is A0, which we consider for the engineering stress strain curve. Now we have got high carbon steels do not usually have a pronounced yield point. Instead, after a range of linear elastic behavior which ends at a point called, so जो structural steel है उसका elastic behavior तो properly आप document कर सकते हो, but yield point define करना काफी difficult है high carbon steels में. And after you have achieved the yield point, it again goes into the plastic zone, which is very slow, gradual. So it is very difficult even to determine the ultimate Fu limit. So जो elastic zone है वो हम सब जानते हैं, it is called as proportional limit. The rate of increase in stress begins to drop until the tensile strength is reached. So it is जो हमारा कर्व है हमने पीछे भी देखा है, even I would like to show you here. So the curve here, this you can see how steep this curve is, but beyond the yield point, this is, you can see it is written here, proportional limit. Proportional limit is a limit till where you have got the elastic behavior. जिस पॉइंट तक आपका इलास्टिक बिहेवियर रहता है उसे हम आप यील्ड पॉइंट भी कह सकते हो या आप उसको प्रोपोर्शनल लिमिट भी कह सकते हो. सो व्हेनेवर यू हैव गॉट टू, अगर आपको इलास्टिक मॉडुलस निकालना है तो आप इस लाइन का अगर आप स्लोप निकालते हो, that will give you the elastic modulus. So if you find out the slope of a line till the proportional limit, you will find the elastic modulus of that material. So after this, you can see it begins to drop. The rate of increase of the stress is gradual. It is obtained by drawing a line parallel. In this case, yielding is arbitrarily defined by a yield strength which is usually taken to be that stress which leaves the specimen with a permanent set plastic elongation of 0.2% when the specimen is unloaded. That means, as you can see here, it is written 0.002. So when you have applied loading onto the specimen and you are releasing it again and again, but it is going back to its original position. And at a certain point of time, when you are releasing the specimen from the testing, that is, you are not applying loading. So the specimen had got a strain of 0.002 as relatively calculated from its original position or original dimension. So if it has got at the point where it has got 0.002 strain, that point, if you draw a line parallel to this line is parallel. This line is exactly parallel to this line. So when you draw a line exactly parallel to this line from 0.002, which we call as proof strain also. So the point which hits here, this point, is called, we take as yield point, because as we have find out that it is difficult to find out the yield point in pure high carbon steels, because strain is very less and it is very gradual. So it becomes difficult with this gradual behavior and small strain behavior to identify a particular yield point. So if this is a process to draw a parallel line at 0.002 strain, line parallel to your elastic zone, to be hitting onto the stress strain curve, at this particular point it is going to give you the yield point, and yield strength is called as yield strength at 0.2% offset. Now one more point which is last and important, that suppose we want to find out the characteristic strength. What is characteristic strength? Even in concrete, you have studied concrete. So can anybody tell me what is the characteristic strength? One more point, that as I have told you yesterday, the inelastic cyclic response, मैंने आपको बताया था कि हम ductility कैसे निकालते हैं. So this is that cyclic curve. If I idealize this curve as similar to this, अगर मैं इसके सारे पॉइंट्स ऐड कर दूं, अगर मैं इस साइक्लिक कर्व के सबसे हाईएस्ट पीक पॉइंट्स सारे ऐड कर दूं और एक कर्व बनाऊं, so that will be called as idealized curve for this particular cyclic response. Now the area under this curve, this area under this curve is going to give me the ductility of that material, and also the energy dissipation by that material for this type of cyclic response. Now characteristic strength, when we test many samples, Variation in material properties due to the non-uniform molecular structure of the material and the variation should be recognized and taken into consideration in the design process. The material properties that are of greatest importance in the design structure using steel are yield strength, maximum percentage elongation, Young's modulus. So these three are important. Now here comes the important part, that if the number of samples tested for a particular property, अगर आप compressive strength निकाल रहे हो, उसके लिए आपने 12 samples टेस्ट किए हैं. अगर आप Poisson ratio निकाल रहे हो, उसके लिए आपने 25 samples टेस्ट किए हैं. या कोई और प्रॉपर्टी निकाल रहे हो, उसके लिए आपने 50 samples टेस्ट किए हैं. So that what is going to be the variation and what value is after having a calculation from that variation, what is going to be the value of the parameter you want to have finally. And the number of specimens with the same length, same strength are plotted against the strength. Then the results approximately fit a normal distribution curve as shown. So this is the normal distribution curve. This curve can be mathematically expressed by the equation, which can be used to define safe values. So from here we find out the safe design parameter value for which you are doing the testing, always depending upon the sampling rate. Sampling rate हर एक मटेरियल का अलग अलग इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड कोड्स में गिवन है. कंक्रीट के लिए सैम्पलिंग रेट कंक्रीट क्यूब्स के लिए अलग है, ब्रिक्स के लिए अलग है, स्ट्रक्चरल स्टील के लिए अलग है, सबके लिए सैम्पलिंग रेट अलग है. So what are the sampling rate that you can go through from the Indian Standard Code? If the characteristic strength is defined as the mean strength, then 50% of material has a characteristic strength below this value and hence it is not acceptable. तो इस कर्व के अकॉर्डिंग आप when it is giving 95%, whatever values you are getting, most of the samples, that is 95% of the samples are crossing that particular value. That is going to be decided as the characteristic strength. Thus, the characteristic strength is calculated from the equation Fk is equal to F mean minus 1.64 sigma, which is sigma is the standard deviation. So if you put finding out the mean and the standard deviation, you put the value, you will find out the characteristic strength of that particular material. So always remember this particular line also. Hence a characteristic value which has a particular chance of being exceeded in any standard tension test is chosen is this value, and for the you are going to multiply because the behavior, the point of time where this, when in the rolling mill this particular structural steel is going to be manufactured, that is this value which you are getting. But when you transport this structural steel to the site, the intermittent changes may come. So for those intermittent changes between reaching the material on the site and in the rolling mill when it is tested there are difference, and those differences are going to be taken care of by the partial safety factor. So the values of the partial safety factors you can take from IS 800. Or you can take 1.10 as it has been given.